Alrighty, good Thursday, everyone. I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Jayme King. It's time to track the tropics, and boy, the lid has come off, right? We are very, very active. Two features. We'll start with these two here over the distant eastern Atlantic, both staying away from land. This is actually the remains of what was once Tropical Storm Emily, and there's a 70% chance that becomes a system again. We'll keep the name Emily. This one back here at 40% next 7 days. Of course, we all know about Tropical Storm Franklin will quickly become a hurricane as we go into the weekend, and it looks like we've got a new presence now. This is not even formed yet. I want to make it clear so you know, but down across Nicaragua through Central America and into the open Pacific, right actually near the nearshore waters of Nicaragua there in Central America. A little energy that may try to move across here, across Central America and into the Caribbean, possibly longer term here into the eastern Gulf of Mexico at 50% chance over the next 7 days. So much to talk about. I do want to start with our actual name system out there right now. It's Franklin becoming a Category 2 hurricane as we take you into about Monday morning at 8 a.m. Winds at about $110. Now, while this will stay away from land, it will infuse our local waters in the Atlantic with some ocean swell. We won't see the wind from Franklin, but the wave energy will spread on out. Kind of like when you throw a rock in a pond and the ripples spread out. Same theory, same process as those wicked winds around the circulation that is Franklin continues riding off to the north. You can see sea heights beginning to build here as we go into the forecast cycle, getting into the weekend, some of that swell getting in, but the peak of the swell should begin to arrive in our local waters by about Tuesday. So if you're an experienced surfer, looks like we'll have some lighter winds possibly by that time. Could be a good time to get out. If you're not an experienced surfer, best to stay out of the water. Rip current risk will be sky high during this time. Now, I do want to address what's happening possibly in the Northwest Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico as we head through the next 7 days. Is at a 50% chance of development. Now, right now, the modeling is wavering back and forth, but the spot to watch right now, and I'm strictly in watch mode, nothing has formed yet, but that's the area now around the Yucatan, down across Mexico and into Central America. And you can see the blow up there, right there, as the convection or ill-defined showers and storms continue to blossom. The theory is that it would cross over Central America, wind up in the warm Caribbean, warm eastern Gulf of Mexico, and then further development could take shape. So here's what we know now. Possible low pressure developing. So we are watching again. I want to solidify we're watching this area here for you very closely. Water is very warm, and development because of that is very possible. Nearing Florida longer term, that is the question. What do we see out of this? Well, let's talk about some of the factors. One, factors that would help it develop, and then factors that could keep it pretty calm and no development. And some of the models are heading that way. You can see the water temperature is very, very warm in that area. Upper 80s, more than sufficient to spark something up, tropically speaking. And we look at the tropical potential. Unfavorable here outlined in the yellows and greens. A more favorable environment fades into the orange and reddish colors you see here. And across the Gulf of Mexico, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag as we head through the next several days. Or some days where things are rather unfavorable, then a little more favorable closer to that potential circulation. Here's a look at Sunday. And as we get into early next week, it looks like a lot of wind shear will be at play here over the open Gulf of Mexico. Those are those strong winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere that normally work in opposition to anything tropical trying to spin up. It just can't get that spin as it's getting punched literally in the face. Looks as though that'll be on Monday here with a very unfavorable environment getting off the Yucatan. You can see the greens and the yellows, and longer term there may be a little more favorability getting into Wednesday, but by that point, whatever this is coming up and out of Central America, Northwest Caribbean, may already be on the other side of Florida getting picked up in the upper level winds, so could be kind of a rain thing for us here in the Sunshine State. Let's take a look at the GFS forecast model in concern with that potential system. You don't see a lot of spin here. Eventually it's kind of a broad overview kind of spin by about late weekend into early next week. You can see a little bit here, some rising and falling of air, and then some drier air possibly getting into the Gulf. Boy, that would end this quickly. So we hope and pray that that's certainly the case. You see a little spin right there. A lot of rain moves to South Florida. Not a lot, believe it or not, in central and northern Florida, as modeling still insisting on drier air. Eventually, some of that may ride up into the central areas of Florida, but otherwise, time will tell. I mean, you start to get into day 6 and 7 of a tropical model forecast, and really anything's possible. But a look at our exclusive Fox model does show that wrap trying to continue to spin on up right there. You can see it right on the southern or northern tip of the Yucatan, and then that rotation there. So we definitely have some type of rotation. It doesn't look strong, and it looks like a lot of that real heavy rain and energy is onto the eastern flank of this thing, not much on that northwest corridor, so that could be some of the drier getting entrained within that. Looking at the wind forecast and gusts on our exclusive Fox model as well, what's interesting here that we get that same ill-defined wrap. But if you look on the eastern side of that, while there's going to be some gusty winds, right now if we compare that to our color-coded chart up here, gusts to around 40 miles per hour, that is tropical storm force, but nothing on that north or northwest side. But still some type of representation of lower pressure here, so we'll see what happens. And that's Franklin, by the way, moving and grooving over the open Atlantic, setting that ocean swell, but impacts to land don't look to occur with that. Maybe down the line toward Nova Scotia, eastern Canada, shipping lanes over the open maritime areas there in the Atlantic, but otherwise no big impacts there land-wise. The hurricane season peak, as we know, on the way here, September 10th on average, so more frequent occurrences of tropical storms and even full-blown hurricanes. And I tell you, with the warm waters we've got right now, yes, we have cycled into an El Nino, but the warm water is really helping to overcome any of the effects of El Nino, which normally makes for a calmer Atlantic hurricane season, more active in the Pacific. So again, we're watching, we're tracking. Last name system was Harold. Idalia, the ice storm. They always say watch out for the ice storm, Ian, Irma, and that camp. Hopefully not, but we're going to be here tracking. After that, we cycle into Jose, Katia, Lee, Margot, and Nigel a bit longer term. So we'll continue to watch, continue to track. It's what we do here in the Fox 35 Storm Center. That is a check and a track of the tropics. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jayme King. Breathe easy. No imminent threat to us here in the Florida Peninsula area or anywhere across the continental United States, but we're watching. So stay with us and we'll keep you up to date. Have a good one.